and thank you so much for joining me today. I'd like to take you through a short practice to help us to move into wheel pose today. Wheel is a more challenging posture. It's still quite challenging for me. And you want to make sure that your body is properly warmed up and ready before you try to move into the posture. So if you have a couple of blocks, that would be really helpful today. I'm going to actually give you a modification to get into wheel at the end of the practice, so the blocks will be used for that, as well as a couple of other spots. But if you don't have them, that's okay. You could still move through the practice with me. And then a pillow too, if you want that for moving into wheel. So if you want those things, or you have those things, you can go ahead and pause the video and then meet me back here. Oh, one more thing. You'll want to be near a wall for the modification that we'll be doing for wheel. So pause the video, get everything set up, and then meet me back here. We'll get started in down dog today. So really spreading your fingertips wide, and then sending your hips up toward the ceiling. And just take a moment to pedal it out in your downward facing dog. Bending one knee and then the other. And beginning to connect with your breath here as we pedal it out. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. And trying to keep your inhales and your exhales an equal length. And then finding stillness in your down dog, we'll go ahead and do a few sun salutations here to really get the body nice and warm. So looking toward the top of your mat, hop, step, or float to the top. And then inhale to that half lift, that nice flat back. And exhale to forward fold, bending the knees. Inhaling all the way up, hands come to touch overhead. And let's take a slight back bend here. And then exhaling all the way back down, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. And then go ahead and plant the palms and step it back into plank pose here. Now you can always drop your knees here to come down to the mat, or you're welcome to keep straight legs. We'll inhale to shift forward. Exhale down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And then exhale, back to downward facing dog. Let's move through that 2 more times. Finding stillness in your down dog. Taking your gaze to the top of the mat. Step, hop, or float. Inhale to that half lift. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale, root to rise all the way up, taking a back bend here. And then all the way back down, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Plant the palms, step it back to plank, or go ahead and lower the knees. Inhale to shift forward. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. We'll do that same thing one more time. The body should be getting nice and warm now. Step, hop, or float to the top of the mat. Inhale to half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise all the way up. And then swan dive forward. Inhale to that half lift. Exhale, plant the palms. This time we'll step it back to that downward facing dog. Taking a pause here. Let's inhale through the nose this time. And then exhale, sigh it out through the mouth. Go ahead and inhale that right leg high behind you. Exhale to step it through between the palms. lower that back knee, uncurl your back toes, and we'll rise up into a low lunge. Taking a back bend here again. And then let's interlace our hands behind us, thinking about drawing your shoulder blades together, opening your chest to the front of the room. Breathing here. Good, and plant the palms on either side of that foot, and let's step it back to downward facing dog. Inhaling the left leg behind you this time. Exhale to step it through, lowering that back knee, uncurling the back toes, and rising up into a low lunge. Taking that back bend, and then releasing the arms behind you, clasping the hands together, thinking about drawing your shoulder blades toward one another. Really nice. And then stepping back to downward facing dog, we'll do that same thing again, but in a high lunge this time. So inhaling your right leg high, exhale to step it through, keeping that back leg straight this time to a high lunge. Taking a slight back bend, releasing your hands behind you, clasping them together, and opening your heart toward the front of the room. Good. Let the palms frame the foot. Step it back, downward facing dog. And we'll do that on the left side. Inhaling the left leg high. Exhale to step it through, rising up to that high lunge. Taking a slight back bend again. And then interlacing your hands behind you. Opening your heart to the front of the room. Releasing the palms to frame the foot. Stepping it back once more to downward facing dog. And then just go ahead and release down to the mat. Let's do a few cycles of cat-cow here. So coming to that neutral tabletop position, wrists should be stacked under shoulders, knees stacked under hips. And we'll just move through a few cycles of cat-cow. Syncing your movement with your breath here. Inhaling and exhaling. Warming up that spine even further. Good, and then we'll thread the needle here to really open up our shoulders. So walk your left hand out toward the top of your mat, and then take that right arm underneath, threading the needle, bringing your right ear down to the mat. Breathing here. Good, and then rising back up, we'll move to the opposite side. So walking that right arm out this time, left arm to come underneath, left ear to the mat. And breathing here, taking some nice, full, deep breaths. go ahead and grab them now, and we'll just do a little further shoulder opening. So depending on what you're looking for, you can have your blocks either at the highest setting like this, or here, or here. You can play around and find what's most comfortable for your body. If you don't have blocks, you can just do exactly what I'm going to instruct right down on the mat. But the little bit of height just gets a little more opening for your shoulders. So go ahead and bring your forearms down to the blocks. Inhaling here. And then exhaling, just melt your chest down to the mat. And let's just take a few cycles of full deep breaths here. Thinking about sending your breath to where you're really feeling that stretch. Let's take one more inhale and exhale. Really nice. And then walk yourself back up. And keep the blocks. We're going to use them to do another, like a little back bend here. If you don't have any blocks, you could always use a pillow or a couple of pillows or a few blankets rolled up. If you have the blocks, you're just going to take the block to like your bra line or just below your shoulder blades. And your other block, you can rest your head on. Again, you can play with the settings depending on your own body, what feels good for your own body here, what feels like not too much, not too little, but just right. Creating a little back bend here. And breathing into the posture. Good, and then slowly coming back up. You can go ahead and move those blocks out of the way. And we'll just make our way all the way down to the mat, coming down onto our backs. So slowly rolling down. Then we'll move into bridge pose here. So walking your heels in toward your sits bones. Your arms can just be out at your sides, palms facing down. And then pressing through the heels here, your weight should be in your heels. We'll just send the hips up, coming into bridge pose. And then option to interlace your hands underneath of you as you're sending your hips high. Breathe in here. Good, and if your hands are interlaced, go ahead and release that. And then we'll just slowly come back down to the mat. Now, if this feels like enough, we're going to move into wheel pose next, the modified option. But if bridge feels like enough and you just want to go ahead and do another bridge, that's perfectly fine. It's really important to listen to your body. Otherwise you can, move into something when your body is not quite ready and you can have an injury. So if you have those blocks and you're near a wall, ideally you'd have a wall with some crown molding, because you can put your block on a little incline and it just rests right on that crown molding and it's nice and secure. You know that it's not going anywhere. So you're going to have your blocks on an incline here, and if you have a pillow, the pillow is really, it's just going to give you a little more lift coming up into wheel, and then it's also a little bit of a safety net coming back down if this is your, if you're new to trying wheel pose. So you'll have those blocks leaning against the wall, and then you can come down onto that pillow. And this also it's just a little bit easier on your wrists doing it here on the blocks. So you're going to sort of just grab around the edges of the block. And then you have that pillow underneath of your back. Let's take an inhale and an exhale here. Good, and then you'll push through the arms and the feet, and you'll come into the crown of your head, and then just push yourself up into wheel. Slowly lowering back down, coming back to the crown of your head, and then tucking your chin and coming back down, nice and slow and easy. And there you have it. Now, you can also obviously move into wheel posture without the props, or you can go ahead and try it again just like we did. We'll do one round without the props. So coming back to lie on our back, bringing your hands just around your ears. You can see that you need a little more bend in your wrists here when you're flat on the mat. Taking an inhale and an exhale here. And then pushing onto the crown of your head and coming all the way up. Slowly lowering back down. Tucking that chin and coming out of wheel. Really nice. Okay, let's go ahead and hug both knees in here. Rocking gently from side to side. Releasing that low back. And then taking your feet, so the soles of your feet are pointed up toward the ceiling, and grabbing a hold of the outside of those feet, we'll move into happy baby. Again, just gently rocking from side to side if it feels good for your body. And then releasing the soles of your feet down to the mat. Go ahead and extend one leg long, and then the other. And let your arms rest out at your sides. Palms facing up or down, whatever feels comfortable for your body. As we move into our final resting pose, Shavasana. Noticing the rise and fall of your belly as you breathe in and breathe out. Softening through the face, between the eyebrows. And relaxing through the shoulders. Just letting your body grow more heavy and more relaxed with each inhale and exhale. Feeling your legs grow heavy, your ankles, all the way down to your feet and your toes. And I'd invite you to rest here in Shavasana as long as it feels good for your body. And I'd like to thank you for practicing with me today. Namaste.